Who was Martin Luther King Jr. and what did he do? Many people only remember Martin Luther King Jr. for his I Have a Dream speech, but Martin Luther King Jr. was also a civil rights activist, Baptist minister, and a founder of Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He protested the unfair way African Americans were treated with strong words and nonviolent protests. He also did not give all of his speeches on civil rights. One of his speeches was on the Vietnam War called Beyond Vietnam. His speech opposed the war. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. Whenever someone sees the name Martin Luther King Jr., the first thing that comes to their mind is his famous I Have a Dream speech. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech was about African Americans and the unfair way they were treated. Martin Luther King Jr. presented his speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. He did this because President Lincoln helped end slavery. His speech helped end the unfair way African Americans were treated. People who opposed Martin Luther King Jr. and his speech. Some people opposed Martin Luther King Jr. and his speech. They argued that African Americans should have been grateful for what they had, because they had more than what they would get in other countries. Most of these people were probably white supremacists, of course, like the man who assassinated him. At the time, a nationwide poll found that only 33% of Americans had positive feelings about Martin Luther King Jr. It was only after his assassination that people started to care, but there was still some opposition, of course. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. James Earl Ray assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King Jr. was there to support a sanitation workers' strike. On the night of April 3rd, King gave a speech at the Mason Temple Church in Memphis. Just after 6 p.m. the following day, King was standing on the second-floor balcony of the Lorraine Motel, where he and associates were staying, when a sniper's bullet struck him in the neck. He was rushed to a hospital, where he was pronounced dead about an hour later, at the age of 39. There is a memorial for Martin Luther King Jr. in West Potomac Park in Washington, D.C. Here are some important facts about Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. Martin Luther King Jr. died on April 4, 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. had a sister named Christine King Ferris. He also had a brother named Alfred Daniel Williams King.